Hey students! Before you get started with this video, make sure your math notebook is open in front of you. You're going to take these notes on the right-hand side, and you'll use the left-hand side for entry tasks, ed puzzle questions, and any other notes you take during our class time together. So, the name of this section is 4.2, Area of Triangles. And our learning target is I can find the area of a triangle. So just like when you learned how to find the area of a rectangle, there's a formula that we're going to use to find the area of a triangle every time. So we're going to draw a little sample triangle here and talk about the formula before we do some examples. We're going to label that side B, and we're going to draw a line inside here and label it H. All right, so in a triangle, there are two measurements we need to find the area. The first one is H, the height. So that one is going to be right here. And something kind of important about the height is that it must be straight up and down. When you go to the doctor and they measure your height, you don't stand slanted or anything, right? We wouldn't stand like this side of the triangle. It would be straight up and down. So sometimes the height is going to be a line drawn on the inside or outside of the triangle. It might not be one of the actual side lengths. So the height is straight up and down. And then we have B, which is the base. The base is kind of like the flat side that we could set our triangle on. Like we could set it on a table on that flat side and it would stand up. That's the base. So the way we find area, we represent area with a big A, a capital A, is BH, B times H, base times height, divided by 2. And this formula kind of makes sense because when we find the area of a rectangle, we do base times height. And a triangle is basically half of a rectangle, right? We could take a rectangle, cut it in half, and it becomes 2 triangles. So the area of a triangle is our base times height, and then we divide it by 2. We cut it in half. So let's do a couple examples of that. So this triangle here, we have 11 feet, and then we have 4 feet. So the way we're going to do this is first, we are going to label the base and the height. So I'm just going to write an H where the height goes and a B where the base goes. Well, I see that this side looks like it could sit flat on the ground. It can be our base. And this line is going straight up and down, so it can be our height. Now that I know the base and height, I'm just going to plug them into my formula. So B base is 11, H height is 4, all divided by 2. Now, according to GEMDAS, we would want to evaluate the whole top group first and then divide. So on the top, this means 11 times 4, so that's 44, divided by 2, which is 22. Now, the last important thing we need to know is that when we label our units on our answer, see how we have units in our measurement, we also want to put units on our answer. So we're going to use the same unit as our labels, feet, but it's feet squared for area. Because area is finding basically how many little squares fit inside a space. So it's feet squared rather than just feet. Let's put a little note right there up here. Units squared. All right, our next example. So on this triangle, we have 12 meters. And then there's a little line that they drew outside here that says 9 meters. So again, we're first going to label the base and the height. This side is a flat side that we could set straight on a table and it would stand up. So this is B, our base. And then you'll notice that this measurement right here, that's not the height because it's slanted. They drew a straight up and down line all the way out over here. This one is our height. So now we're ready to plug those into our formula. So area equals B base, which is 12, times H height, which is 9, all divided by 2. 12 times 9, that is 108 divided by 2. 108 divided by 2, that is 54. And then we put our label, which should be our unit, meters squared. Okay, we are going to try a couple more. Example 3 is going to look like this. Oop. There we go. This side is going to be 22 meters, and then there's going to be a line inside that's labeled as 10 meters. So again, we're first going to label our base and height. Now, this might seem a little confusing because we don't have a flat side on the bottom, but if we look at the top, there is a flat side up here. So this one is our base. Sometimes the triangle's flipped around and our base might actually end up being on the top or on the side. And then our straight up and down measurement is inside here. 10 is our height. So we plug those into our formula. So we get B base, which is 22, times H height, which is 10, all divided by 2. 22 times 10 is 220, divided by 2 is 110. And then we always put units squared on the end, so meters squared. And then our final example here, it's going to look like this. So this is our triangle. It's labeled 15 centimeters down here, and then they drew a line on the outside like that and labeled this 8 centimeters. So again, let's identify our base and height. Well, the base is that flat side that we could set down on a table, so that would be down here, base. And then this is our straight up and down measurement, so that's our height. Now we're just going to plug those into our formula. B base, which is 15, times H height, which is 8, all divided by 2. 15 times 8 is 120, divided by 2 is 60. And then we want to put our unit squared on the end, so 60 centimeters squared.